welcome to the Recovery Daily podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abbasi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor. And I was just outside. Well, after I found Boris, that's right, I lost Boris in the house and found him. I closed him into the bathroom accidentally. So I'm like, Boris, where are you? Then I start panicking, like, oh my God, I lost Boris. Did I leave him outside? I mean, my stroke mind is like, oh my gosh, what did I do? And so I'm walking around and stuff. I'm like, Boris. And then Autumn's just following me, not telling me anything. Thank you, Autumn. But I was like, oh, there's only one place that he can be. And I opened the bathroom door and he was in the bathroom. So I have this big bathroom now, bigger than what I'm used to. And you go through the bathroom and then there's a big gigantic closet and he likes to go into that closet because it's like a room. I mean, it's the size of an office, this closet, in my perspective. I'm sure other people are used to big closets, but he likes to go in there because it's carpeted and I guess the sun shines in there. And so he really likes it anyway. I'm like, there's only one place he can be is in the closet, which I have to get to from the bathroom. So I open the door and he busts out and he's like all excited. He probably thought he was in trouble, the poor little chunky guy. He and Autumn both took a shower today, not together. That would be embarrassing. Separately, they took showers. So they had a little spa day, got their teethers brushed, and yeah, so now they're just laying down and they're totally cute. But anyway, what I was thinking of after I found Boris was that I need to perk up on this thing, And it's probably funny to listen and hear like one day I'll come on and I'm like, I don't know. Why do I keep doing this? I don't hear from anybody. I need inspiration. And then the next day I'm like, we got to perk things up, people. We got to bring it up. So it's probably funny to listen to my craziness day after day, but I appreciate you tuning in to listen. I have some big plans again for the podcast. We're going to be stepping into season 4. Can you believe that? Season 4. I can't believe that. So it's only been about 3.5 years, but it's season 4 because the first year wasn't a full year. So, wow, it's season 4, and I'm gonna do some stuff to make it a little more professional. That's what I'm gonna try to do. So stick with me, and please, if you know somebody that could benefit from talking about alcoholism, stroke recovery, chronic headaches, vestibular recovery, and honestly, just needs a program for life. I mean, they'd probably be offended if you're like, hey, you need a program for life. You should listen to this. But maybe you could say, look, I'm listening to this podcast of this charming young lady who is a stroke survivor and a recovering alcoholic. And there's just a lot of information there to just that we share to learn how to live, learning from each other how to live. And what I'm sharing here, I'm sharing my experiences first and foremost, because that's what I am an expert at, my own experiences. But everything else that I share that's not my experiences is just like how I've been able to think through the stuff that is ahead. I know I'm not supposed to look forward, but no, I guess knowing how to manage manage my thinker, because there's a lot of stuff that doesn't happen that is still going on between my ears. There's a lot of stories that I'm creating between my ears, and I think sharing that out loud and being able to relate to somebody else who thinks the same way is such a healing experience. So, with that, I wanted to talk about step 6 today. And step 6 was one that, and step 6, if you're not a part of the sobriety program, is about being ready, being entirely ready to have God remove all of our defects of character. That's how step 6 is worded. But that being said, everything in the program is customizable, in my opinion. And even the word God is customizable in the program of AA. It's the higher, our concept of God is how the program enables the idea of having a higher power for people who don't believe in God with a big G, with a capital G. So even if you're not in sobriety, you have character defects. I promise you, you have character defects. And what I wanted to talk about today, I was just talking to my husband about this yesterday. And then it was the topic of the meeting and this morning. It's the idea that we have character defects and we don't know what they are. Most often, we don't know what they are. It takes willingness, openness, talking with another person to be able to see our flaws, to become then willing to release those flaws. So at first, when I was introduced to step 6, it seemed very abstract to me. Like it seemed more of like a concept where number one, I didn't like looking at myself as having defects. And that was one of my defects is my ego. I didn't want to admit that I had an ego. I didn't think I had an ego. But it's quite a turning point when we are able to build awareness of the character defects. And then it's another gigantic step to actually surrender and say, take them. God or whoever your higher power is, like, take them. So I was talking to my husband about how in observance, I have a couple people in my life that I see their character defects, but they don't see their character defects. And I'm sure that if that person were to look at me, they can see some of my character defects that I don't see. And it's funny because the program, as I was going through the steps, like step 4 and step 5, where we're making a list of all the people that we have that we're pissed at. That's how I summarize it, that we have resentments towards. And then being able to like list the person, say why we have the resentment, and then, God forbid, we look at our role. So I'm pissed at them, and then I got to turn it around and look at me. And so, how did I contribute to this? And being a sponsor of other people and trying to walk them through that process of writing somebody's name down and looking at what it is that you're resentful towards them for, and then being like, okay, now what was your role? Well, I have a hard time doing that because I have a hard time explaining to another person how they may have played a role in some of those resentments because I don't have their lived experience. All I can do is like ask questions. Well, what do you think you could have done here? Or have you ever thought about this or that? And I feel like I epically fail at being a sponsor in this area. However, when I don't have to do it in a if it's not like a learning experience for somebody else, I can totally look at somebody and be like, the reason why you do not get along with people or people keep divorcing you or people keep getting angry with you and not talking to you is because you fill in the blank. This is what you do. Like, I can do that. I can, and it's mean, but I can do it because that's one of my character defects too, is being able to judge other people. I'm a master at judging other people. It's terrible, but I'm getting to the point here. So even if I were to say to somebody, this is why you can't keep a relationship, or this is why everybody in your family is pissed at you. My mind just went blank. Sorry. I was on a roll there too. We're just going to move on because I have no idea what the end of that sentence was. And that is an example of living in stroke recovery. So we're going to move on. I'm so sorry. Let's see. Look, okay, sorry. It's really embarrassing, but I have to make sure that I don't go back and re-record that because for people who are listening because they've had a stroke, they understand 100% what just happened to me. I'm talking and it just goes away. I have no idea what I was talking about. It had something to do with somebody else's character defects. And that's it. That's all I remember. So hopefully I will continue to get better after this move and I won't have these symptoms so much. So we're going to move on. And one thing that came up this morning is about when I look at my character defects, when I'm able to actually notice them, and I learned how to do that by step 4, where I look at my resentments and then I turn around and look in the mirror and say, what was my role? Once I look at that, do I use those character defects to define my identity? And what I was thinking about this morning is how much we do that as a human being. We'll say something like, "Oh, he's a really angry person. Oh, he is just completely socially awkward." Or, it's like things that are challenging to us, things that we can see or can't see, we'll generalize it as something that defines our identity. And so I was wondering, what do I do myself to define my identity? Like, what defects do I use to define my identity? One would be like, I'm overly cautious, or I'm a control freak. That's a big one. So we'll just use those two for the sake of me not forgetting what I'm talking about. And when I look at like, I'm a control freak, if I use that to define my identity, what am I willing to do about it? Like, am I just accepting that I'm a control freak, or is this something that I can actually work on? These traits can be quietly woven into who we are until it is shown to us. We do the work to see what the character defect is. So typically, the way that I notice that I have a character defect is I become disturbed. And there's a saying in sobriety where if I'm disturbed, there's something wrong with me. And this is new from when I was drinking, where if I was disturbed, I was pointing the finger at somebody else. It was somebody else's fault. So if I'm disturbed now in sobriety, when I'm disturbed, there's something wrong with me. And this happened not too long ago when I was butting heads with my husband, but he wasn't butting at all. It was because something was disturbing me, something was wrong with me. And I actually stormed off, which I don't even know if I've ever stormed off in front of him. But there's a character defect that is beneath that, whether it is fear, pride. That's what mine was in that instant a couple weeks ago. Fear, pride, envy, or just self centeredness. When I am disturbed, there is, for me, more often than not, I haven't been able to think of a time when there is not a defect beneath it, which is why I wrote that down this morning. I'm like, there's always a defect beneath me being disturbed. One of those things: fear, pride, envy, or self centeredness. So there, it's awareness is what step 6 helps us with, to look beyond our behavior, look beyond the simple definition of our identity, and look into our motives and notice what we, when we're trying to live the principles, recognize the patterns of when we stray away from the principles of the program. So each disturbance, each frustration, each stressful situation can become a clue as to a defect, because those are certain times when we're disturbed. And that awareness typically leads me into like self condemnation, where I'm like, well, I'm not good enough because XYZ. I'm frustrated because XYZ. I need everybody in the world to change because XYZ. And so getting into the habit of noticing, of correlating a disturbance with a defect. And that's really hard because when I'm disturbed, my emotions are running high. So the last thing I want to do is look in the mirror when I'm frustrated. I don't want to look at other angry people, much less look at myself angry. So a couple weeks ago, when I got all huffy and I stormed off, I got in my bed and pulled the covers over me and laid there for like 2 hours. You call it a nap, but I don't think I ever actually went to sleep. And then when I woke up, I had this. I just sat there. My heart was beating really fast. I sat there and I thought, what was my role? What I actually thought was understand, then to be understood. That's what I repeat over and over again, all the time. Understand, then to be understood. And when I was able to just keep repeating that over and over and over again, I noticed. I noticed exactly what happened. And what happened was I actually hurt my ankle at the same moment that I stormed off. And right after I hurt my ankle, I stormed off. And So I was able in that moment, once I saw like what really happened, I looked under the hood to see what actually happened within me, not what happened between him and I, what happened within me. And I would not have been able to reach out to him and be like, hey, I'm sorry that I stormed off, but this is what happened. Um, and of course, he was like, no problem, you know, but I couldn't have done that without the willingness to change. So it's like, I have to be willing to notice, look at myself, and sometimes it takes time away in order to look at myself, time away from me. And I do that with a nap. It's just like going back to the good old days when mom would say, somebody needs a nap. you know, that's I do that with myself. I've said it over and over again. I like to be my own mother. I like to be able to look at myself from a mother's perspective, and that helps me navigate things. So I had to take a pause. I had to take time away from myself, meaning I took a nap. I laid there. And then I woke up with willingness. I did not have willingness when I laid down to take a nap, I didn't have willingness. But when I woke up, I had willingness to stop defending myself, stop saying, well, this is what he did, Instead, I had the willingness to look at my defect, look what I did, and let go of that part. Let go of that ego, because I feel inside like it's a survival instinct. That's what I feel like is happening. But I don't need my survival instincts to kick in when I'm with my husband. It's ego. My ego feels like a survival instinct. It's not. In the past, in my life, I have needed my ego at times of fear to kick in survival mode. But I don't need it now to do that. And that's because I'm sober and because I'm in healthy relationships. So, how do I train myself to not have my ego kick in? It's really remaining self aware, having the willingness to look in the mirror. And the willingness is the seed of transformation. When I stop clinging to my old behaviors, then takes root. I can't speak. Growth takes root naturally. When I stop clinging to my old behaviors, growth takes root naturally. It just happens. So living in step 6 in daily life is, it seems like a lot. I can talk a lot about it, but it's really a lot of pausing. It's a lot of like, I think step 10 really helped me ingrain this habit of looking inward. It started with every night before I went to bed, I said the step 10 prayer, which I had in a little prayer book or something. You can probably look at it online. It's just a part of the big book where it talks about, actually, it's the part of the 12 and 12 in step 10. And just looking at the day and really getting honest with myself and not for self-criticism, but with curiosity. Where was I disturbed today? Basically, I mean, the big book talks about being angry. Where was I angry, resentful, blah, blah, blah. It lists like five different things or something like that. But basically, where was I disturbed today? And naming the defect behind it. That is the purpose of it is to be able to mend relationships in real time. Um, what what did that interaction teach me? And inviting humility in and asking your concept of your higher power for guidance instead of trying to have, you don't need willpower. That's what I thought. I remember so many people being like, you don't have any willpower. Well, I still don't have any willpower. If I have a bowl of candy in front of me, I still grab five instead of one. So it's not willpower that is getting me through each day without a drink and without screaming at someone. Um, it's, it's the program. I mean, it's the program and my faith and my concept of God. Um, And that's what allows me to put it into words. It's really fascinating to sit here after 9 years of sobriety and put all of this stuff into words. It feels good to be able um, to explain what I am doing. And as much as others may benefit from hearing how I do it, I'm benefiting from hearing how I do it. I'm like repeating to myself, this is how you need to do it. Um, I am not waking up every day and thinking, okay, how do I need to fix myself today? That's not what I'm waking up and doing. I'm waking up and saying, I'm ready today to be changed. I'm ready to be clay. I'm ready to be molded. And the way that I allow myself to be molded, to actually put that into action, is by pausing constantly, pausing. Now there's so much that can be gained from just pausing. Um, when I reflect longer on what I'm about to do or what I have done, um, I can get closer and closer to the me that I want to be, the me that I want to show people, the me that I feel like can take care of other people and be taken care of, that is a best friend and is a good daughter and a good sister and a good mom and a good wife. So I think, yeah, I think that's what it comes down to. Like, all being said, I think that the bridge between a defective character living itself out without being aware of it, between that and awareness is pausing. And then the bridge between the awareness and action is another pause. It's just like, I think we could all benefit from slowing down and getting quiet more often and thinking through, how am I affecting myself with my actions and my thinker? Like, what are the stories I'm telling myself every day? And stop, think about it, and think, I don't have to play this horror movie inside my head. I can change the direction of the story at any time, but I have to pause in order to do that. Thank you so much for listening today, and I will talk to you tomorrow.